Hello students, welcome to Teja Online Tutorials. This video on Bioscience from Grade 9, Chapter 5, Fundamental Unit of Life, Part 1. If you like our videos, subscribe our channel, press the bell icon for latest updates and click the like button. Hello students, this video on the fundamental unit of life. Students, do you know how the life has been evolved or originated? Do you have any curiosity to know the how our life is originated on the earth? Let us know how the life is originated on the earth. We were hearing it about the life has originated from long time ago, but we doesn't know how the life has been originated on the earth. Our earth is a planet in the solar system. Though our earth has originated millions of years ago, our life originated 4000 million years ago. If we look at the living and non-living organisms, we find that atoms are present in living organisms and also present in the non-living organisms. However, the arrangement of these elements is different. It means in living organisms and in non-living organisms, their body is composed of atoms. What are atoms? Atoms are nothing but they are the smallest tiny particles of a chemical substance. It means what is chemical substance, what it means, how the organisms bodies are made up of some elements. It means even though the living organisms and non-living organisms, their body is made up of different elements. All the atoms in those elements, the atoms are composed. For example, living organisms body is made up of calcium and magnesium, iron. These are the different types of elements. So in these elements, the atoms are present. In the same way, the non-living organisms like table, chair, duster, in that also the arrangement of atoms are present. So different elements are also present in that. The organization is more complex in living organisms in comparison to found in non-living organisms. Why? Because in living organisms, there are so many life processes has been taken place. The living organisms can move from one place to another place. But if we compare the living organisms to non-living organisms, the non-living organisms cannot move from one place to another place. So that's why there is no that much complexity in the organization of non-living organisms. So the organization is more complex in living organisms in comparison to found in non-living organisms. In the non-living organisms, the atoms are organized to form molecules, and these molecules are again differentiated into crystals and colloids. In the living organisms, they are organized to molecules. These molecules forms a group of macromolecules. So first in the living organisms, first the are atoms are joined to form a molecules. These molecules again combines to form a group of macromolecules. These macromolecules like nucleic acids, proteins and polysaccharides, they further complexity, they become complexity and forms and organize themselves into a protoplasm. Protoplasm is nothing but it is a combination of a cytoplasm and a nucleus, which is a living matter. The protoplasm into cells turns into cells, cells joined to form tissues. Tissues are joined to form organs. Organs are combined to form organ systems, and then into a body of an organism. It continues this after the formation of a body of an organisms. These organisms combines to form a population, populations to communities, communities to ecosystem, finally the biosphere. This is how a cell is originated. Let us now examine the organization of living organisms and the fundamental unit of any living organisms. On this beautiful earth, we find several plants and animals. The organisms look different from each other, but one of the unique features is that they exhibit a striking similarity in their molecular and cellular organization. It means we find the several plants and animals, they look different in if we see in our surroundings, we find the different types of plants and animals, but some are very small one, some are short, some are tall, and some may be in animals, some may be in insects, some may be different types of carnivorous animals, herbivores animals. They look different, and plants also, different types of plants are there, they look different, but even though they are having one similarity in the molecular and the cellular organization. So one more similarity is also seen in metabolic activities, which leads to growth, development and reproduction. How does this similarity occur? What is common in all living organisms? What is the fundamental unit of these living organisms? Now we will answer these questions. All living organisms are made up of a common unit. The fundamental structural unit of living organism is called as cell. In biology, the cell means a building block of all living organisms. What do you mean by building block of all living organism? It means, for example, if we want to construct a house, we need different types of materials. In that, the most important one is brick. For example, if we arrange those bricks in a specific direction, in that direction, in that format, the house is going to be constructed. So here the brick is called as a building block of a house. In the same way, cell, the arrangement of cells in any shape, in any format, the arrangement of cells in any format, it results in the formation of a living organism. It means here the cell is called as building block of a living organism. In order to form a living organism, the cell is the main important one for the formation of a living organism. So that the cell is called as the fundamental unit of life. Let us now discuss about the discovery of the cell. Who was first discovered the cell? In 1665, Robert Hooke discovered a dead plant cell from a oak tree. Here in the picture, I am showing with the red mark. Once you observe in the picture, this is the bark of the oak tree. He was taken a thin slice of a cork of this from the bark of the oak tree. When he observed it under a self-designed microscope, which resembles like honeycomb-like structures. See in the picture I am showing that here is the honeycomb-like structures in the picture. The red mark I am showing that honeycomb-like structures he found. So he named those structures are called cell. In 1674, Antony van Leeuwenhoek discovered the cell for the first time in pond water by using a simple microscope. In Latin, the term cell is called as a little room. or empty spaces. Let us now discuss about the evolution of cell theory. What is cell theory? What do you mean by evolution of cell theory? It means after the discovery of the cell, several scientists were worked over on the cell to understand the structure and function of a cell. How the cell is going to be function, what is present inside a cell, is there any components are responsible for the functioning of the cell. So these all in order to discuss, in order to find out these all uh, terms, in order to find out this mystery inside the cell, how was the functioning of the cell. For that, the several scientists were worked over on the cell, and which leads to the evolution of the cell theory. In 1665, you know that the Robert Hooke discovered the plant cell. In 1831, Robert Brown he discovered the nucleus inside a cell. In 1839, Schleiden and Schwamm he discovered the cell theory. So what is cell theory states that we will discuss later. So he discovered the cell theory. The Schleiden he discovered the living plant cell. He discovered a cell in the plant, whereas Swan discovered a cell in the animal. In 1839, the same year, the Perkin J coined the term protoplasm, which is the fluid substance of a cell. So what is protoplasm? In the previous slide also I already explained. It means it is a combination of nucleus and cytoplasm. In the year 1855, Rudolf Virchow proposed that the cell all cells are arises from a pre-existing cells. It means first a cell is formed, from that cell the other two more cells are formed. It means the cell is from a cell, the other cells are pre-existing. Pre-existing, pre means first, existing means from the first cell the cells are going to be divided. The cells are dividing. It means the cells are arises from pre-existing cells, which was first proposed by the Rudolf Virchow. What does the cell contain? How does the cell is going to be divided? Means it contains a nucleus, which is mainly responsible for the division of a cell. In the next slide, we are going to discuss about the what is cell theory. What is cell theory? What does it states?